Welcome to another collaboration podcast from the West Tigers Life podcast and the West Tigers podcast. This is episode number 3, I guess. We're from the coming from the mic'd up studios again. Don't worry about mic'd up. We are pumped up today after the Tigers thumped the Bulldogs at CommBank Stadium, 28 points to 14. I'm joined by Rob Bashara, Gary Watson, and the coach Adele Haas is joining us from the screen somewhere in Brisbane. He's like the cat that got the cream tonight. I can see him smiling from all the way there. But first off, Gary, never go against a winning combination. It was the same for us 2 weeks ago. We've produced another victory. What does that say for poor Joel and Steve?
Yeah, poor Joel and Steve. They may have run out of their time in the mic'd up studio if we're going to continue with that winning formula going forward.
No, thank you to those two boys. That was a great episode last week. Caught it on YouTube and did some good numbers. But Rob, I know you were crying after the Titans game, man. I felt like crying after that win today.
Don't get me started now. Yeah, it was magical today. The text messages I was getting from all my family, friends, relatives, just watching social media, everyone was absolutely elated. So, yeah, over the moon with the win.
Coach, last week you and Rob got into it a little bit on your show on the West Tigers Live podcast, but today you're smiling. You must be delighted.
Absolutely, I'm delighted. I feel a little bit vindicated and very, very proud of the effort today. Obviously, we'll get into the press conference, but I agree with Benji's sentiments about we've got to find a way to be able to perform like that every week.
Bit of a tradition, boys. One word. I'll start with you, Gary.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with ambush. We came out today with a game plan to really rattle the Bulldogs, to get up in their face, and we put them off their game. It was an ambush from the West Tigers today.
Rob?
My one word's karma, and not for the bad reasons, for the really good reasons. We've put effort in all year that hasn't been rewarded too much. We've only won, 3 out of our last 11 games, and there was a lot more effort into those 11 games than the actual results that we got from it. So just great karma for the team, for the club, for the coach, and for the fans. The fans that braved it out there, the fans that were, we won't mention names, but still booing a certain player in the 80th minute. Like the passion and the determination to go out in those, putrid conditions to support the team, thinking I thought we were going to get thumped, and it was the other way around. So bravo to all our fans.
Just quickly, Gary, before I throw to Coach, you were out there today. That must have been sweet.
Yeah, I sit right behind the Bulldogs bench at CommBank, so it was really great to see that performance, to see that the guys really give it to an opposition side that was more fancied than we were, and the crowd out there today. When I had a look around the ground, it was a lot of blue and white, but it sounded like just as much West Tigers fans there, and it was our home game. But yeah, it was a great performance from the fans. It was a great performance from the club, and it's a really big day for the club today.
Do you have one word, Coach?
Yeah, satisfying. I'm a petty person. I've said it openly. And at the end of the day, like for me, being competitive and winning is so important. So, I feel like we went through that period during the year where we almost felt like the Bulldogs started looking down on us as a club. And yeah, beating them today was satisfying.
My word, boys, was God. And I talk about God a lot for a person that's not very religious, but there must be a football God somewhere out there, because the amount of bad shit that has happened to us the last decade, I just thought today, finally, Rob sort of stole my word karma, but I'm going to go with football God. Great victory today. But boys, was it our most important win of the season? Gary?
It was incredibly important to our club. It gets us away from that wooden spoon race that you've been talking about all year, Eddie. But what it did for me is there's been a number of times where our players have come out and they've spoken about being supportive of the coach, and we've then gone out and we've had a really poor game. The game against Parramatta as an example. Today, the players showed up for their coach. The players showed up for this club, and I can't be happier than the performance we got today. And that's why it's so important to me, is those players finally came out and stood up in a way that really showed what this club can be made of.
I'm not going to say it's the most important win of the year, because looking back at the season and obviously wanting to play finals, I felt the Cronulla game was huge. That got us back to 50-50, and especially after what had happened with the Galvin drama before that. And then we go on and win Magic Round. We're 5-4, so we're back in the season. Then we go on that terrible run of losses, and then I thought the Roosters win, even though it was against half a New South Wales Cutback, that was the most important win. So this was really, really important for a lot of reasons, but I don't even know if we would have got to this point if we didn't beat the Roosters. You know, if we'd have lost 8 in a row or something like that, or 9 in a row, whatever the hell it was, the amount of pressure that would have been under the club, I think that Roosters win just gave everyone a little bit of time to grab some oxygen, take a deep breath, you know, just sort of regenerate.
The message that today sends to our supporter base, that sends to the rest of the NRL, is massive. It shows that we don't want to be pushed around anymore. We don't want to be bullied anymore. And the club really stood up today, and I'm very proud of what we saw out in the field today.
Great.
Coach, biggest win? It certainly was our biggest scalp, you'd have to say. I know we beat Cronulla, but we've beat Cronulla at Leichhardt a few times.
Yeah, for the season, I'd say it is. Look, we haven't had the most important win for the year because until you're in a finals race, you can't really define something as a really important win. So I think what we're doing is we're proving that we've improved. That's probably the biggest component of these wins and the biggest thing I'm taking out of it at the moment. But yeah, I'm not going to say it's, obviously when you have a season where you do make finals, you can reflect back on and talk about significant moments throughout the year, but the chances of us making the finals are pretty much not there, and so it's hard to really say it's a great win. Every win's important for us, but I think what it does is it fills a bit of confidence to finish off this season, and I think that's really important.
The narrative was there that the club wasn't improving. The last couple of weeks, the game last weekend against Penrith, the narrative was started to be formed, Adele, and I agree with what you just said, that this club is in the same position it was 12 months ago, that we're looking at another wooden spoon. It'd be 4 in a row. You're 100% correct. Today shows that this club is turning around and it is starting to go in the right direction.
Just a little bit more big picture stuff before we get into nitty-gritty of the game. I think I mentioned during the week that this season could be determined a success or failure based on the last 5 weeks, Rob. We're now 8 and 12 with 4 weeks to go. Does 10 or 11 wins make the season a success?
It's an improvement. It doesn't make it a success. You've got to be playing finals football, and our goals are higher than just being up there. But granted, coming from last 3 years in a row to potentially 10 or 11 wins is a big step up from 6 wins last year.
Coach, I think there's maybe 6 teams scrapping around there at the bottom. If we could finish 11th, I think that's realistically as high as we could finish. Some people could dream and say if we win our last 4, we could scrape 8th or 9th. But would 11th be a success?
No, success is winning a comp for me. So I'm not going to go down that path. I guess the way to describe it is it's not a failure of a season. And like Rob said, it's an improvement for us. The chances of turning a season around or going from 3 wooden spoons to top 8, is significant. So if we got that would, I think you could, without being too over the top with my sort of thoughts around, if you don't win a comp, it's not really a success, but that would have been a significant achievement. But yeah, I think it just shows that we have definitely improved. The recruitment has made a big difference. And if you want to reflect back on it, without the disruptions and with a bit more luck with injuries, especially with Jareem, who knows what the season could have brought, but you take that and you got to cop it on the chin and you just got to look to be better.
I'll stay with you for a second, Coach. You're big on fundamentals. I've heard you ad nauseum with Rob this year talk about things like line speed and kick chase and intent. Could you tell from those first 15 minutes today that we had them rattled?
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why in the press conference, Benji was a little bit puzzled as to why we can't do that every week. Like, surely back end of the year, I know the loading would be down at training, so they should be able to get up and really be able to back up their performances each and every week, especially in the first 30 minutes of games with their physicality. We had line speed today, we had aggression, and Benji talked about it before the game. He specifically said, we're going to be aggressive. The narrative around the Galvin thing, and I reckon the media trying to push it, I think the club, the boys, Benji did a good job to sort of deflect it. But whether it was Benji, and it probably wouldn't have been, I reckon it would have been the boys within themselves, they had an intent about them today. I've seen some of the attitudes of Fanua's first touch. He might not have had a good game. His first impact in the game was a hit, and he got up yelling at the bloke. I think it was Sam Hughes playing the ball. So they were all fired up. Twali today looked angry. They were fired up. I think they took today personal. And at the end of the day, it is a local derby for us. I mean, from whether people know this or not, like Concord to Belmore, it's a 10-minute drive. We train not far from each other. Like, I know the demographics and the geographical component of us is a little bit all over the shop, but that's the closest club to us at the moment. And right now, there's a bit of competitiveness between the two clubs, and I think there will be for a while.
Not often, Rob, the Dogs get beaten in those areas of sort of line speed and intent.
Yeah, it was incredible to see. Look, I thought, I don't want to put a dampener on our win. I thought in the second half we kind of struggled to make ground. It was quite significant. We were getting driven back.
Some sets only 10 metres, mate.
Yeah, some sets were really poor, and that's where credit to Adam Dewey's kicking game. Even like one kick he put from the 20 went 45, 50 metres. So we definitely need some troops in the forwards, but I don't really want to harp on the negative stuff. But yeah, definitely that line speed was good. Coach messaged me privately today. He said the number one thing we've got to work on in the off-season is our kick chase. Okay, so that was still not to the level that we need, but they were all heart today. They never gave up. I mean, since when do we win a sin bin period down a man 2-0? There's some significant moments that we haven't done before. So we've just got to find that intensity every week. But as Coach always says, they're humans. They can't be up every week. We've just got to find that consistency. I hope they can, in a fortnight from now when they play their next game, can they come out with that same intent?
Coach mentioned Alex Twell's game today.
Yeah,
he was actually immense today. That line speed in that opening 20 minutes, he was really leading that for us, and it's something we really haven't seen in his game before. He was getting up really quick and putting pressure onto those Dogs players. He drove that line speed in that opening 20 minutes for me, and I thought he was fantastic all game. Ran for 117 metres and 30-odd tackles. An immense performance from him today. Really impressed.
Adele's always said all year, we've got to defend our errors. And how many errors did we make in the beginning? Terrell May, bad play the ball. Terrell May,
first
bad
play of the
penalty.
game,
Yeah, Fanua Bole, a bad play the ball. We defended it. And we actually made our breaks off their errors. So, look, it was a different West Tigers performance today. And it was built on defence.
Coach, how do you go about putting together a game plan when there's 4 or 5 days of rain? I mean, people might say, it's easy, you just simplify your plan. But what did you make of the game plan today before we get into the actual specific changes in the team?
Yeah, there was a couple of things that were specific in what they looked to do. I'm not going to go on to the whole ruck thing because, part of the reason that second half, White Raymond's 10 became shorter. The play the ball has just slowed down. We won't go down that path because I will literally lose it.
Canterbury are known for that, aren't they? Like once they give away a few penalties, they'll just cheat a little bit and think play on the rest.
I'll tell you what we did do today. I'll tell you what one of our big plans was. And Canterbury, I'm not sure if you noticed this, Canterbury are the number one chasing team from marker. So their first marker will chase really hard on every single carry, right? So our forwards actually worked as pairs. And a lot of times we looked to play some X plays between each other, and then we'd throw some dummies. And what that done was it held the marker defender up, and we're able to actually carry the ball. Early on in the game, it looked to me like there was a plan to shift the ball, but not so much to shift to attack, to shift to carry at Burton and Galvin. Because I think they thought that Samuela and Sione, and I think that's why Sione played back row, we could actually make some ground on the back of those guys. And in the second half, we didn't actually do that really well. So that's what I think the plan was. Look, they trained in the rain all week, so they would have come up with a plan. The coaches for me also would have noted, and I commented about this on our podcast on Wednesday night. For some reason, the Dogs don't enjoy the wet. They got beat by. Remember that game at Suncorp? They got
36-0 down half time.
Yeah, and the Dolphins. It was the same thing at the core that day. There was another game they lost this year in the wet, but they don't enjoy the wet. So I think they would have taken a bit of confidence out of that. Can I give Benji a wrap?
Yeah.
The change to put Adam at half is a significant one. And I think they identified the fact that we needed to, whilst ever Latu is growing and developing as a player and he needs to improve his long kicking game because we can't have one kick option. And that'll come over time. He'll improve. He'll become better at it. We needed to be able to kick the ball to both sides of the field. And to be honest, today, Adam did all the kicking. So, a bit of a point of difference. And it's hard to do. You do a review all week as a team, and all you're concentrating on is Luai kick pressure, Luai kick pressure, Luai kick pressure, Luai kick pressure. They're going to kick to our right corner, and you turn up with another plan. It throws away your whole plan all week. So, big credit to the coaching staff and to Benji to make that change. And it was a ballsy change to make as well.
Just a quick one on that, Coach. Do you think that change was purely based on conditions, or do you think that would have been made on the Tuesday, and even if it was a fine sunny day, that Adam would have been starting in the halves today?
Well, Benji said post-game, he said that he thought Adam deserved the role. And for him, there's no rush with Latu. It was funny, I used the same words when we were chatting previously on a different thing, but and that's the thing for me. Like, there's no rush with Latu, and Adam has been really good the last couple of weeks, so why not build his confidence? And yeah, I would have probably done the same thing today because of a kicking game perspective, but I think we exceeded what we expected it to be. It was more than kicking game, wasn't it?
Was he the best player on the field today, Rob, Adam Dewey?
By the length of the Flemington straight.
It's a big straight.
It is a big straight. He was near the finish line before anyone came around the last turn. So
I wish I backed horses like that.
so do I.
Our kicking game today was by far our best kicking game of the season. It wasn't just hoisting it high today, which I know is a tactic and I know it's game plan for. Our ability to find the ground today really made a difference. And it was all Adam Dewey today, that kicking game. So big props to Adam Dewey. I know I can be quite critical of him at times, but I thought he was absolutely outstanding today, and not just the kicking game, with the ball in hand as well.
Is he a half, Gary?
Well, he showed today he can play half, but I think we've seen games like this from him before, and the really important thing for Adam is consistency in that role. I thought he was absolutely fantastic today, so I don't want to take anything away from that.
Can I ask a question to Adele? Back to something you just said a bit earlier. So, Adele, Eddie asked about if we finish the season with another 2 or 3 wins, perhaps. What confuses me is the way this side was presented today in that structure. If Adam stays at half and hypothetically Adam leaves, does that help our cause if he's not with the club next year? So what I'm trying to say to you, we're talking horse analogies here. I want to be that horse that's hitting the line strongly for next year and knowing who we are and knowing that we're settled on certain combinations. Do we stick with Adam at 7 for the rest of the year, or do you think Adam will stick with Benji will stick with Adam at 7 for the rest of the year?
I think his words were he's going to go week to week on it. I think he's found the fact that he finds confidence that both of them can do a specific role to what you need. Look, for example, when you play the Titans, I don't think kicking game is as important. If you want me to be straight and honest with you, like I don't. I think we're playing the Cowboys in a couple of weeks. Again, another team who you can make good ground on. So long kicking game isn't as important. You probably want to be able to shift the ball a little bit better. So, yeah, I think it's going to be horses for courses type thing. In regards to moving forward, no, not really, because, Parramatta, everyone thought, let's not use Parramatta as an example because they're a sensitive topic at the moment, but I think at the end of the day, Bulldogs have just shown that you can make changes midway through a year if you need to in your spine. At the end of the day, it's up to the players to get the job done. Look, for me, the biggest thing is going to be the fact that I learned this week that the Pacific Championships are on again this year. So we're not going to get a full preseason of Latu, Jerome together anyway. So, yeah, it's not going to make a real difference, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe rest them Richo, pull them out of that and have a full preseason. But anyway, Gary, we mentioned Adam Dewey's fundamental game was very, very solid, but a couple of really opportunistic plays. Put Buller away for a try. He probably threw a forward pass, got a little bit lucky there, and then almost went the length of the field off a loose ball from Canterbury.
Yeah, and played a big hand in the first try we scored as well. So he took those chances when they came up. Showed a fair bit of pace today. I'm quite often critical of how quick he is, but he got across the ground for that length of the field try.
I thought you were going to say
He's
it was
a
the lack
runner.
of pace in Canterbury chases. The fact that he got there.
Look, I'm all on Adam Dewey today. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. You are right. I think that ball to Buller may have floated or been thrown a little bit forward, but
We deserve a call like that, Gary. It was clearly
don't get
forward.
many.
We don't get many like that.
the one to Sam was forward as well. And
Yeah.
Benji said in his press conference, what I actually really liked about that, anyone who heard Jerome Luai's interview on Behind the Roar this week, he spoke about one rule he'd like to see change.
Yes, I did hear that.
And he said, one forward pass a set. So
He lives in a wacky world, Jerome.
Mate,
Gotta love him.
he predicted it.
Comment from Adam Dewey after the game. I didn't hear it, Rob, but apparently on radio he sort of gave a bit of a shout out to Richo. And are you watching Richo? You think that's passion? I think that's passion / ego.
It's both. It's both, but I think it's obviously he's been lowballed with an offer to stay at the club, and he probably wants a bit more money. He shouldn't go about it that way, but I can see Adele shaking his head there in the background. You want to have something to say there,
Come on,
mate?
Coach. I've thrown you a pass. There you go.
I didn't hear it, so but I'm not going to say Adam because until I hear it, I won't believe that it happened. But any player that does anything like that is an idiot. Like, well, why? What are you doing? Like, that wouldn't happen at a big club. You're part of the problem if you're doing that at our club. Like, are you doing it because it's the West Tigers and you're pouring on the narrative of us being a low ranked club? Like, if you want to stay at the club, to go about it the right way, go and see him privately and do it, but don't do it publicly. That's.
He probably had a microphone shoved in his face, mate, straight after the game.
No,
He's high
Rob,
on emotion. Come on, man.
Rob, there's no excuse. There's no excuses. Sorry.
I haven't heard it myself, so I probably shouldn't have brought it up, but Rob did say on the way.
And I'm saying this generally, not just about Adam, but because I haven't heard it. So, yeah.
But it doesn't make him more likely to be signed, does it? Like, you come out with that comment.
He's gone.
And any chance you had of being signed, you're throwing that out the window.
Well, it shouldn't have been after his 80 minutes today.
Brent Nain, Rob, my mate texted me yesterday. He was at Lidcombe Oval. He said, Brent Nain's sitting next to me having a pie. And I thought, well, that's great. Who cares? But I thought he must have been injured. I didn't assume he was playing first grade today. He held his gloves up.
Yeah, I heard he was playing yesterday, and I was absolutely mortified. And I just thought Toa hasn't been tackling well, let's be fair about it. But, his defence, the last time he played centre was awful. And he had a good game on the wing for us, to be fair, when we played Cronulla, I think it was, in round 8. But that game against Melbourne, he was just beaten 7 or 8 times. So I was, concerned, given the form Sherry was in. He scored 2 tries last week for Canterbury. I thought this was going to be an issue. But to his credit, he came up with a couple of really big plays today. One that you mentioned where he dived in the in-goal.
Yeah, that loose ball was massive.
That loose ball. And then when he held Taylor May from getting slid over the sideline, he planted his foot there like a large tree stump and just wouldn't let him get over the sideline. That was huge.
Just general one on the conditions, Coach. Like, obviously, it was a bit of a swimming pool out there. Did that help us against the Bulldogs? You mentioned they've been poor in the wet this year. Did that allow maybe in the second half when they started to look like they'd lifted their energy, sort of stop their roll?
Yeah, sorry. Can I just jump in real quickly? I got a text message saying Jerome's hurt his shoulder.
Yeah, he heard it. He heard it when he took that kickoff.
He was off.
So the kickoff after the last try, he dived to take the ball and he got up holding his shoulder then and moved towards the sideline quite quickly after that. So and I watched him quite closely after the game. He was carrying it after the game. So
that's
yeah, he still had a big smile on his face. He was still joking around, but he was definitely carrying that after the game.
Before I answer your question, Eddie, so big one with that is obviously we know Jerome's had shoulder issues in the past. So 2 parts to that is you're concerned that he's had shoulder issues, but second to that, he knows how to handle them. So there's a positive and negative to that. In regards to the conditions, mate, at the end of the day, it's not an excuse for anybody. I mean, you'd like to think with a defence like the Bulldogs, the wet should help you. This is what confuses me about the Bulldogs. Like, the type of defence they play, the wet weather should suit them. So, full marks to us today for putting on the points that we did. Rob, not quite the straight at Flemington, because there was someone that was actually just behind him today.
All right, Mooney.
And that was our hooker, Happy Carousel. I thought that was his best.
Fantastic.
I know South Sydney game here was flashy. Today he was outstanding.
Well, let's mention those two, Rob, Appy and Jerome. On our podcast this week, I spoke about we've tied our mask to Benji, Appy and Jerome, and I think that's a good thing. But today was sort of the confirmation I wanted that they can go out and own a big game. And I thought the leadership from those two captains out on the field, the body language was good.
It was very good. And I said last week, Appy was I thought was our best player for 52 minutes. I know Tito had a magnificent game at fullback last week, but that's 2 games in a row now that Appy's had a really big game. Look, anytime Jerome's showing signs of improvement, we know how competitive he is. We know what he brings to the team. There's no putting him down. But when we actually see him break through the line and just make a little dart like he did in the first half, that's what we want to see. We want to see that attacking brilliance that he's got.
They're animated guys, Gary, but they were animated on the field today. Like I saw Appy when the Bulldogs made a mistake. He was right in their face. Beautiful little grubber for the 3rd try, and Jerome obviously stood over Lockie Galvin early in the game, got the penalty, and that was a sign of our intent, I thought.
Yeah, We spoke about how we came. Well, I spoke about how we came and ambushed them, and the game obviously meant a lot to the players. That was driven by Appy and Jerome today. They were out on the field driving us around the park and instilling that belief in the players. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. Appy, that's one of the best games I've seen him play at the club. Defensively, he was really strong. Last week, he was falling off a few tackles. He was really strong in the middle today, and he just led us around the park beautifully.
We'll come back, boys, to specific individuals in the outside backs and forwards. But, Coach, just on Latu, played 34 minutes today. Maybe freshen up that he needed after a month of tough footy.
Yeah, I actually thought he wouldn't come on today, to be honest. I'm surprised he did come on in those conditions. I didn't think it was the type of game that would suit him as a 13. But, yeah, at the end of the day, you know, the one thing I really like about when Latu plays in the middle, he's physical. He enjoys the physical aspect of the game. So you can tell he loves it. And I'm a big believer in you watch people during the game, on the sideline, when things are happening that don't involve them, especially when good things happen. And every time we did something good when Latu was on the field, you can see him celebrate it. We've seen players in the past when they are playing roles that they don't enjoy, when things are happening on the field, they just sort of just lope around the field with poor body language. Latu is not that player. He enjoys every component of being in this squad and being a part of this team. So, I think it's really good management from the club. They know more about his condition and his body than us. So I'm guessing they've got a reason for why they're also trying to manage him. On top of, I think Adam deserved to play in the halves, but yeah, good, solid performance from him today. We don't need him to be a superstar today, do we?
Biggest win of Benji Marshall's coaching career, Rob?
I'm not going to say that, no, because I'd have to think back to what the last couple of years of him coaching. I think the Cronulla one was really big early last year.
Given the context, though, coming up against Galvin, and against the top four side, you don't think so?
It's not the biggest, but it probably means the most. It's the most emotional, and the response the players gave today, like they say they love Benji and they're trying for Benji every week, but boy, did they try today. And that was led by Jerome and by Appy. And yeah, they were getting beat up in the second half and they just resisted. They kept resisting. And you look at both Canterbury's tries, they were like, one was the last minute of the game and one was in the last 5 minutes of the first half. So effectively it was, 24-0 for 70 odd minutes of total game time if you had the first 35 minutes of each half up.
For me, that resilience in that second half was huge for our club.
Yep.
The fact that we weren't making any ground out of our own end for a big chunk of that second half, the sin binning,
yep,
that's the type of fight we haven't seen in our club before, or for a long time at least. That's what we need to build our club on moving forward. Guys like Jerome and Appy are the perfect guys to be building that into our club. That's the style of club we need to be.
So I think we've been fighting like that. We just don't win the fights. I think the effort's been there. It's just, but today we got on top.
Because in the past, we get that player sin bin. Even this year, the Bulldogs come back and score 2-3 tries during that time. It was unrelenting today, the fight in our club. And that's what makes me most proud is it wasn't a short stint. We didn't fight for 3/4 of the game today. We fought all the game, and when it got toughest, that's when we stood up again and took it to another level. And that for me, that's the sign of a club that can start to build and start to move forward properly.
I loved how Devo they looked when Curran scored in the last minute. I loved that the players looked like they just lost the game. That really meant a lot to me.
And that effort from Adam Dewey to get back there, and I know he didn't save the try, but he had no right to actually get into a position where he could possibly save that.
He got his hand on the ball.
He got his hand on the ball. He knocked the ball almost out of the way.
Yep.
But Curran still came down and got his hand on top of it. That's the fight we need to see in the club. And one of the things I've been critical of Adam doing in the past is in those situations, he doesn't chase like that.
Yeah.
Today, he showed that he had that fight for our club.
He didn't need to say anything to Richo. His actions just spoke for thousands of words.
Coach, I said I didn't watch AFL last week, and it's because a bit of a tough watch AFL, but I am aware of the ladder. In the last 10 years, the Kangaroos have been like the West Tigers. They've been right down the bottom, and they signed, I know it's not an AFL podcast, they signed Alistair Clarkson, who won 4 premierships at Hawthorn, to a 5-year deal, and he was the messiah, and he's won 10 games in 4 years. Benji Marshall has now won 14 games in 2 years, 8 this year. You must be, you don't really have to say anything, do you? You've been singing his praises all year.
Yeah, again, I don't think I'm singing his praises. I think the biggest thing for me is always giving perspective and trying to give everybody a bit of an idea about sometimes what the processes are or what I perceive to be the processes in how they make decisions and what they do. I couldn't be more impressed with his press conference today, to be honest. Some of the clapping back and some of the ways he's handled, especially the media. And don't forget, he's been involved in the media before, so he knows what that's like. His demeanour has never changed, has it? And the players have openly shown their support for him and they've played for him. And I've said this before, the number one challenge as a coach is to make sure that you don't lose a dressing room and to be able to recruit players, and he's got that. Today was never going to be the day to sort of show what our football's like, but he also called the players out in the press conference, didn't he? He said to them, he said, it's all good and well we win today, but, we've got to be able to do this in 2 weeks' time when we play again. So
You boys listen to the press conference. Any takeaways?
He was impressive, yes, in the coaching insider press conference, the last one I heard yesterday. So, no, I'm happy for him. Like, no one's bagged him more than I have, and Adele will tell you that. But, we want success and we want to see something. I don't want to steal your thunder because you're going to go into it, but Gary's always harping on about the fact that, we seem to lack a game plan. Boy, did we have a game plan today. We made so many changes, even swapping the wingers around from left side to right side and vice versa. Like, we went out with whatever, I don't know what that reason was, but we went out with a specific plan and we executed it. And Adele always says to me, Benji never changes his team. He's pretty good like that. Once he names the team, that's what he runs out with. Well, he just threw that manual out the book and he changed everything around today and put, no one knew about it except obviously those inside the club.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to see my text before the game. We would have been arrested when we saw the team changes, but he got it right, didn't he?
Same as I said to Adele. I said to Adele, how does this help Latu's development if he's starting on the bench? So I'm not going to hide from that fact. But again, as long as we're winning games and Benji knows what he wants our team to be and who he wants that personnel to be and we're moving forward, I'm happy with that. But yeah, if you're like, if I said it last week to Adele, if a guy's getting chopped and changed, I don't know how that works for his development, but I trust Adele's take on that.
can I just say, and not to say this happened, right, but this happens in football. Like, how do we know that, every week you do a review with the players? This is the sort of stuff we don't know because people always jump on that. How do you know? Because Benji in the press conference said that Latu will be our 7 next week. How do we also know that they didn't go to their review Monday? Benji in a conversation with Latu, mate, how are you feeling? How you go? I'm a little bit fatigued. I'm a little bit tired. I haven't played this much football in a long time. I'm not saying it happened, but we don't know what the conversations that have in-house. No worries, but I'll protect you this week. We'll bring you off the bench. We'll give you a couple of weeks of playing less minutes and try to manage you. And then when you're feeling good again, let me know. Like, you have these conversations with players. So without knowing the information, it's hard for also us to make judgment. That's where you've just got to trust your coach. And you've got to trust the coach that's won us the most games since 2019 right now.
We all want to see progress, Gary, and I saw progress today in the way they didn't overreact like they did against Parramatta. They came into that game emotional, ill-disciplined. There was ill-discipline today, and we'll get to that. But overall, they looked like they didn't center on who.
Yeah, you and I spoke about it on the West Tigers podcast on Wednesday night that I was a little bit worried that we would overplay our hand in this situation, that we would go out there and because of all the stories around it, our players would go out there and they'd take things over the top because we've shown at times we're an ill-disciplined team. I thought they got the balance for the most part of the game today exactly right. And the pleasing thing for me is we did show a game plan today. We showed that if you get up into the Bulldogs' face, if you play hard, tough football against them, you can rattle them. They were rattled today. And I've been critical of not being able to see a game plan from Benji Marshall. I think today Benji Marshall gave some of those top 4 sides a little bit of a blueprint on how you can actually take on the Bulldogs, that if you get up in their face, if you hit them hard, that you can put them off their game. And I know it was wet and the wet weather makes that sort of game plan easy, but there is a template there now for other teams to follow that I think the Bulldogs are going to have a look at.
Lockie Galvin struggled out there today, Rob.
But I think you're only as good as the opposition lets you play. I don't think Galvin was bad. I just think we were better. He did put one of his traditional grubber kicks over the dead ball line that goes to 7 tackle set early. But he wasn't too bad. I mean, we just smothered him. I mean, look, whether it's Galvin or it's anyone else, we're going to target the opposition number 7. So the fact is, it just happens to be Lachlan Galvin. So no, I don't think he was that bad, but we absolutely smothered him.
He didn't bite into the line today. So he was passing well before the line today, and I thought that probably had an impact on how he played. I don't know whether he was worried about going deep into the line, but he definitely held back a little bit in his running game today, and I thought that really hurt the Dogs.
Would there have been any cues, Coach, on the tip sheet that we got right in terms of containing him today?
Oh, yeah, they would have done their due diligence on every player. Playing against someone would have been pretty significant. But Galvin has changed the way he plays now that he's at the Dogs. He's got to fit into their system. So the stuff that makes him a little bit unpredictable has somehow come out of his game. Forget what the narrative's been over the last couple of weeks and some of the plays he's come up with. The way he's played the game, he's had to change. And he's had to change that because the Bulldogs play a specific, I'm going to call it a one-dimensional system. And so, yeah, today tells me everything I said originally about the Bulldogs. I don't think they are a side that are going to threaten the top teams in the competition because when it comes to the crunch, they just don't have the class in the key positions. At the end of the day, their best player, if you said everybody's playing at their best in that team, their best player is Stephen Crichton. When it's a centre, you cannot win a competition.
Okay, we've got an interesting little buy, sell, and hold later, and one of them's a question around who's going to win the comp, but we'll save that. Team stats for today, boys. Nothing really stood out. 81% completion compared to the Dogs' 67%, Gary. That was big in those conditions. We only made 9 errors to their 13. We forced 2 dropouts. Run meters were down for both sides, but overall, the completion rate was a standout, was it?
Yeah, the completion rate was pretty good. The errors we did make, we made them at bad times. Those 2 errors on the back of kickoffs, when we were starting to get on top in the game, I thought they could have been crucial, but we defended them fairly well for the most part. So to keep it up around, it was low 80s and have a better completion rate than the Bulldogs, who are a side that kind of prides themselves on a high completion rate. I thought it was a pretty good effort today.
Anything stand out there, Rob, in terms of team stats?
Oh, I haven't seen the team stats, Eddie, so I
Quickly after the game.
Yeah,
but
it's so quick.
Individual performances, mate, like a tough day for the outside backs conditions-wise, but like I think we anticipated, they went after Skelton. I thought he handled it well.
I thought Skelton was very good. Tito never lets us down. Dream Baller, we if we had $1 for every time we waxed on about how important he is to our team and what a difference he makes, he's incredible. And I was concerned when he was off the field for that HIA. Even Naden, I thought Naden did well. If you don't mind me touching on a forward, I thought Sione Fainu was really good today. He absolutely stood out. So a lot of good performances, but you need a lot of good performances, when you're trying to beat a top 4 team.
Sione played 70-odd minutes today, which is something we really haven't seen. And I know he played a lot of that time on the edge.
Yep.
But that's a huge effort from someone who's not used to pushing out those minutes. So I thought he was fantastic.
Coach Tareem Buller touches a class today on return. Obviously looked like he was gliding in second gear when he scored that try, but a couple of really intelligent bits of play, I thought, in the wet where he sort of trapped the ball like Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, he's outstanding. I texted Rob during the game, what I learned when he come off for a HIA is if you actually notice that the moment he come off, we stopped making yards, we stopped having attack shape. He is the most important player in our team. Absolutely no doubt about it in my mind today. It's no coincidence that when he comes back into the team, that we've won the game of football. So impressed with him.
Yeah, our shape all comes off what Dream Buller does. That's why the last couple of weeks we've been shifting side to side a little bit more. The importance to our attack that he provides can't be underestimated in our team. He is as big a in for our team as anyone we could have.
And he was coming on the left side a bit today, a bit more than normal too. Yeah. Did you notice that, Adele?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you know what? It's to Gary's point, when you don't have him in the team, it's like when, those years when Manly had Turbo and when Kalen Ponga plays. Those are your indicators for other teams. So if Jareem's on one side of the field and you've got Luai on the field and you've got Adam on the field, not all of them are going to be on the same side at once. So you cannot defend one side of the field. When you've got 2 halves, and respectfully to Tito at fullback or Stafford Toa was playing a little bit of that shape for us, teams can load up the side of the field that we load up with our main halves. It's a massive difference. He's getting more and more confident each and every week. Are we going to touch on Jerome Luai anytime soon?
Go for it,
'Cause
Coach.
I want to talk. Yeah, I want to talk about because the little kick that Jerome puts where Stephen Crichton catches the ball. I want to give Jerome Luai a massive credit on that because he runs the play, and the next play, and I know everyone will talk about that it's a forward pass. I don't really care. We've copped bad for that. But Stephen Crichton on that play actually sits on his heels and waits for the kick on the Jerome Buller one. Jerome Luai had that in his head. So what he does on the next time they run that play, he actually goes to the line to show to put a kick in behind. Crichton does the same thing, and at the last second he throws the most bravest pass you'll ever see. That is such a brave pass to throw at the line, and he hits Samuel on the fly. That is such good football IQ because he obviously knows Critter really well. Critter's done that so many times in the past before. I remember him doing it in an Origin game once. So he does sort of anticipate the little kick. He's seen Jerome do it. He waited for the next occasion when he was going on the same side, and Jerome premeditated that Critter was going to do it, and he hit that pass to Samuela, and that locked up the game for us. So a really big IQ moment in the game there from Jerome.
And that connection between Sam and Luai is really starting to build really nicely. I think it's only going to get better over the next 12 months. That was a great line he ran for that, and you are right, it was a forward pass, but it gets us all the time.
But the edge is not even close to being square. It'll need another decade to square.
Also, the way Sam finished that try, like he got down low early and slid across the line. That's just really smart football. He could have went into the tackle, but getting down low, sliding across the line, made sure that he was going to get across there. Yeah, beautiful try despite the forward pass.
Quick shout out to, I know we mentioned Skelton, but a couple of his finishes today in the wet I thought were really good. The forward pack, Rob, we mentioned Sione. I thought Alex Twal had a big game.
Yeah, you mentioned Twal already. He was fantastic. I still think May chugs out the yards and puts in those minutes. We just, take him for granted.
He looked like he was struggling today coming out of our own end.
Yep.
But you have a look at the stats after the game, and he still ran for 133 metres, which over the past couple of years, that's all we've been getting out of any of our forwards. So if that's a game where he struggles to make metres and he's making 133 metres, you can't complain.
I may be out of line saying this. I thought the first 25 minutes, even though he had a couple of errors, he ran the ball harder than he's been running.
There was a lot of intensity in his running game today.
Yeah.
Just on that second half, Coach, I don't want to focus on negative today because it's just a great day for the club, but was there something we could have done differently? I know they would have got a spray at halftime and they're getting in our face, but like we would just go and one out, and some sets we were literally making 8 to 10 metres.
Honestly, Eddie, I would have kicked early. Even when we're 40 metres out from their line, you don't want the ball in that conditions. Those are the type of games, if you think back, most of us are old enough to remember the 90s. Like when it was raining, teams would kick the ball on tackle 2 and tackle 3. Because in the old days, it was muddy fields. So having the football actually wasn't a positive. You'd attack the game with your defence. And today the conditions were almost old school with how the field ended up. So even in those sets of 6 in the back end of the game, their wingers are up. Just kick the ball on tackle 2 and tackle 3 into the corner and just go defend.
But to be fair, to be fair, there was a period we had a man in the sin bin. We couldn't do it when we had 12 men, and that's what we actually
did. We actually did do it a couple of times when we had 12 men.
There was not a early tackle though.
The
kicked on tackle 4.
Yeah,
okay.
a couple of times we did.
You know what, Rob?
Yeah.
In the wet, when you have got 12, sometimes it's easy because what you want to do is especially a team like Canterbury who don't like to come. They don't want to throw the ball around.
Yeah, you can jam up on them.
20. Absolutely. You almost dare them to do it in this sort of conditions. And you just turn the ball around and you make them go around, go back. Because Canterbury started attacking us with their defence. They knew they couldn't attack us with their attack because they had good ball and they struggled with it. They thought they'd bring an error out of us, cause a disruption, get some transition ball and try to punish us. I would have kicked it. I would have got the message out, even on tackle 2, tackle 3, kicking behind, get all the wingers chasing, like the kick where we put to Carras in the corner and he dropped the bomb. Make it a contest, put it into a situation where they've got to, make a play in the wet weather. That's what I would have done differently.
I felt for Fanuapole today, Gary, because it's obvious he's trying. He's an infectious character, but they were 2 big errors and they scored off the back of both.
Yeah, look, there's 2 things to that. They were massive errors. His intensity, you can't fault the way he went out there and played. From the opening of the game, when he got on, he was trying to change the game when he got out on the field, which is what you want from those replacement forwards coming on. But those errors were critical. But you've also got to turn around, and it's a game that you're going to have errors coming out of your own end. The Dogs had plenty. We had plenty at other times, and you have to defend them. And that's the biggest issue for me today is we weren't able to defend those couple of mistakes that he did make. And And if those couple of errors that he made were then defended, you don't really talk about him as much. So I did feel for him a little bit, but he does need to be better than what he showed today.
Alex Seyfarth, Rob, I'll give myself up here. I said to you, it might have been Gary during the game,
That was
said,
me.
that's the last time he should ever play for that club. And I probably didn't mean that because I know he puts in and he's on contract. But
I would have said it.
yeah, but like you can't give a penalty away when you got the ball, for one.
And then
You can't get sin bin in the next 30 seconds. And he looked like the kid that, you know, the teacher had seen him with the lollies and he got caught and he felt sad. But I was just like, I was apoplectic, Rob, when that happened. Like Benji must have been going, why?
Look, it was a bad minute. Again, I'm stealing a lot of, like, Adele and I talk quite a bit and message each other through the game. But like Adele said to me, what Alex Twal did there holding the tackler down to him, every player does in every tackle. You know, like the refs picked on us in that situation. Like, that's a bad thing. You shouldn't be giving away stuff like that. It's more that other. I actually said to myself, the only way we lose this game is if we have a player in the sin bin. I just didn't want the ref to give a sin bin. And to hit that was just a really careless tackle that went wrong, and that could have cost us a victory today.
the thing with Alex Seyfarth is he compounds errors. So he made that error getting up to play the ball where he rolled around like, I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
And I know he got a clip on the back of the head, but the reaction then after you've
Can't
spilled
get
the
baited.
ball,
Can't
he
get
gets
baited.
up, he throws the ball in the face.
Yeah.
He then, 30 seconds later, first hit up after that, he goes too high. And that hit does not deserve to be sin binned. There was nothing in it, but he still put himself in that position. And that's where my criticism of Alex comes in, is he compounds errors by doing something stupid after it. And I don't like to call players stupid, but that was dumb football.
No, but it was stupid because we just got a 6 again when he had that ball. Like, I was like, yes. And then I think I messaged him. I messaged Adele. I go, God, we needed that. And then suddenly
It's against us.
I see a penalty. I didn't even look at the screen. I was texting on my phone. I thought we got the penalty. I'm thinking, let's kick the 2 points. They got the penalty.
I think
didn't
we
know what
might have got the
happened.
penalty. Appy was clapping, and I think it reversed. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know what went on there.
The NRL bunker, Adele. It's I can't work it out. Like Stephen Crichton, how does he not go to the sin bin? Like, okay, it was wet and our player fell over, but it's direct contact. He gets a Cat 1, so he's out for 11 days. Taylor May. Luckily, we got the bye. Why is he not in the sin bin?
Well, I'll say this. At the time, it's easy to react on the emotions of the fact that we had someone in the bin. The problem I've got is the NRL have got a rule in place. And the rule is you can actually sin bin someone retrospectively if someone was knocked out or was a Cat 1.
Yeah.
That's where I was a little bit surprised, in that once they realised that, because it's the NRL, it's the independent doctor who's in the bunker. So he's actually in the bunker. He's actually ruled him out as a Cat 1. So surely they've actually conversed on that and said, okay, well, you've got to put him in the bin now. So I'm surprised. Look, if you want me to be honest, if it was one of our players, I would have said, well, what else is he supposed to do in that situation? Because of the fact that Taylor was coming so low. So you can say it's mitigating. The problem I've got is I am so confident if it was the other way around, our player would have went to the bin.
We lose our player 15 minutes. Crichton stays on. Like I was scared then.
Now, I agree, but look, I hate that rule. It's such an unfair rule. And let's be fair, Taylor was losing the ball as he was going down as well. So Canterbury, would have got double whammy. But that's the rule. Like, if we get it's not just us, there's been other teams that have lost a player where it's been accidental and it's just been a contact with the head. That's it. You're off for 10 minutes. So it's just the inconsistency of the whole thing. But I understand that it was an accident. But if we're going to be discretional with those decisions, we've got to be discretional with all decisions.
All right, boys, let's move on for the game. I could talk for 6 hours about the game, but we better not. A couple of signings during the week, Gary. Jock Madden back at the club and young Javon Walker. What role do you think they play next year?
I think Javon will be coming in, I'd say, playing Jersey flag most of next season. He's still only 19 years old. I think that will be his role next year. Madden, I'm not quite sure about. I do think, for the most part, my thoughts are he's probably been signed as that backup 7. But I could see him coming onto the bench and playing a little bit of a role on the bench. I think he can make a go at hooker, and I'm not really happy about having Hope as that backup hooker playing as that 14. So I can see a space for Madden in the top 17 playing in that 14 role.
I mean, he would have been watching that game today going, well, if Adam's not going to be next year, why can't I start a halfback?
Well, that's why I thought we got Madden. I've assumed we've lost Adam, so I really don't know what that's about. But I'm happy with the Madden signing.
It's a good signing.
It's a very good sign, but I don't get it if Adam's going to be another half and we've already got Larcher, so we've got 4 halves. It's a bit perplexing.
I don't think Adam will be their coach, but Javon Walker, you know a little bit about him. Can you just tell him a little bit about his attributes?
I never knew he changed. I thought his name was Javon Andrews.
Javon Andrews, my bad. Sorry.
I didn't think it was Walker.
I didn't even hear Walker. I just heard Javon.
Walker's on. Remember that old saying from Laurie Daly? Maybe I'm copying Laurie Daly now. I'm losing my mind. Sorry.
Look, I know that Benji's a big fan of his. I've got people that I know. Obviously, he's up here, and they absolutely have massive raps on him. The only concern has been for people that the fact that he's had some injury worries in the past. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think Benji's shown very clearly that preseason dictates who he'll play and what he'll do. So, we've seen in the past, Gary, I don't think he'll play flag. I think he'll come and he'll either play New South Wales Cup or first grade. He's playing Cup at the moment. I'll obviously be keen to watch him play for Tweed. He'll be their half for Tweed for the rest of the year. We'll play 5'8" for them. Once I knew he played the other week, I didn't know. I actually went on the Vision that I can get for access and watched him play Cup. He was outstanding for Tweed last week. So he looks every bit of a first grader, like a senior footballer, I guess, is the way to call it. So don't be surprised to see him push for a first grade spot straight away.
And he was in our system a couple of years ago. Is that right?
Yeah, he was only really young at the time. So it's when that, when we actually had a Queensland recruitment officer, recruited quite a few blokes up here, and yeah.
All right, let's rip in, boys. Buy, sell, held. Question number 1, Gary. Our forward pack is still a bottom 4 forward pack. Buy or sell?
I wouldn't say they're a bottom 4 forward pack. I still think we're lacking a 13 and concrete around who we're playing at 13, and I still think we lack that impact starting prop. So I wouldn't call it a bottom 4, so I'm going to sell that. But it still needs some improvement done on it.
Question number 2, Rob. No top 8 would be a failure in 2026. Buy or sell?
Only from the fans' eyes. I think if we were close, it'd be a significant improvement again. If we were like 2 points out of the 8 now instead of 6, it'd be different. But no, I'm going to say it's not a failure.
Coach, question number 3. Macassini should debut against Manly. Buy or sell?
Buy.
For Naden?
Yep. Well, yeah, it would have been ironic, right, if Taylor May was actually out, because it would have been perfect to play him at left centre. But yeah, absolutely. It's going to be hard though because we won. But I would debut him. Yeah, absolutely.
Gary, I'm not a big jerseys guy, but our 2005 retro jersey, which we're going to wear 20-year anniversary of the grand final, was our best jersey. Buy or sell?
I'll buy it only because it's the one we won the grand final in. So I've got a lot of love for that jersey. If I'm being genuine about which one I like the look of the best, it's that 2010 jersey, that the completely almost orange one and the completely.
They've sort of gone back
one.
To the more simple jerseys the last few years. Is that fair?
Yeah, they've gone back to the V style, the chevron style jerseys the last few years, and the club intends to have that as a classic design. I don't know if it's changed since Richo come across, but when we went to the chevron style jerseys, that's what they wanted to have as our jersey moving forward.
Just don't ever bring back that appalling white jersey we had. That was a shocker. That was the worst. Rob, West Tigers have a top 4 fan base in the NRL. Buy or sell?
Wow, it's close. We've definitely got a top 4 Sydney fan base. It's pretty hard to compete against the Brisbanes and the New Zealands when they've got.
Are you just talking purely numbers or passion-wise? Or
No, numbers. I think it's us, Canterbury, Paris and George in Sydney. And look, for the fans that go out today, I wasn't one of them. Gary was. I know Josh would have been.
Josh was there.
Very
Josh
close
out there today.
Yeah, we're as passionate as, and you can see by our numbers on Twitter, by the clickbait articles that the media put out. I think we're a top 4 fan base, definitely in Sydney, but I can't judge what.
After 13 years of what we've had of not being in the finals.
14,
whatever it is now.
And rising.
Yeah, but after that long, for us to still sell out grounds, for us to have 16,000 show up at Leichhardt the other week. I don't know how many were there today, but it was a decent crowd there today. It was a vocal crowd there for today. I'm not just going to go purely on numbers. the passion and the belief in our club, yeah, we're a top.
But I'm happy
place.
with numbers anyway. You go back to that 2010 preliminary final against St George. There's like 74 or 75,000. It's just our fans, St George and West Tigers fans. You won't get that for a Cronulla Manly preliminary semi-final if that ever happened.
Let's do two more, boys. Coach Stafford Toa should be re-signed. Bearing in mind he's off contract at the end of 2026, I think. Buy or sell?
For the right price, buy. Absolutely.
Is it buy? You agree, but Gary?
Yeah, I think he's played for the majority of this season really good football. He's really responded well to getting nice early ball and his upper body strength and being able to bust through tackles. Needs to work a little bit defensively. He's fallen off a little bit of a cliff defensively the last month. But at this point in time, I want to see him play back with Buller back into the side to see if his attack improves once he gets some more time with Buller. So I wouldn't be making a decision to let him go right now based on the form he showed in the last month.
Last one, boys. I'll go around the table on this one. Penrith will win the competition, Rob. Buy or sell?
I'm selling it, but they can.
Who are your grand finalists? Gun to your head.
He'll laugh at me, Canterbury. Canterbury's going to be there, and whoever fires in the next 5 weeks, whoever finds that form, I'm not confident with Canberra. I don't like what I see from Brisbane, even though they can attack. I just think there's a lot of soft defence. So as soon as someone shows me they can defend, that'll be the opponent. But I've got Canterbury as one finalist.
Gary?
I think Melbourne will get their play right, and they've got Bellamy as coach. How long is he out for? Is he gone for the season?
They don't know. They say he might come back for the semi-finals, depending on how it looks.
Look, it is fairly important, but they've got Bellamy as coach. I think they've got a style of play that will suit finals football. So, with a little bit of a caveat of what happens on Hughes, Melbourne will be tough to beat.
Coach, I heard you a couple of weeks ago, you gave out 2 grand finalists, and I sort of raised my eyebrows. Are you sticking with them?
Canberra, Penrith.
Okay, you said Canberra, Brisbane 2 weeks ago. So you have changed.
Yeah, I think the problem for Brisbane at the moment is the injuries. Losing Xavier Williston again the other night. Reece Walsh is not 100% fit. I just don't think they can carry that. They are the dark horse still, but yeah, I think we got a repeat of 1990, 1991.
All right, boys. Well, it's been absolute pleasure tonight. Me and Gary are going to go and have a few vodkas and beers. Rob and Adele have got a backup for the West Tigers Life podcast. But thank you, boys. Outstanding day. West Tigers defeating the Bulldogs 28-14 at CommBank.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks, boys.
Thank you.